Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Like, Share, Follow. And this week I have Drew Beveridge, who is coming to us live from Dubai. Hi, Drew. And now, Drew studied social media at the University of the Sunshine Coast, but also journalism. And now, Drew is cabin crew at Emirates, but she's also been working as a social media influencer. So, welcome, Drew. How you going?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very well to be chatting to you this morning and your afternoon as well.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing your time with us. Now, tell me, it's been a little while since you were at USC, so tell me how this all came about, because I know you were actually working as cabin crew for Tiger Air. That's right, when you were studying so you were studying and doing that as your part-time job. And then, so what happened after you graduated, and how did you end up in Dubai?
Yeah, so the last time I saw you, I believe, was last year in 2019 when I finished up my degree, journalism minoring in social media. And at the time, I was working full time as cabin crew for Tiger Air while studying full time as well. So I was very busy throughout the last couple of years of my degree while I was balancing both of them. And in February, I went for an interview with Emirates. So I went down to Brisbane for the day and did the open day. And just after I turned 21, so that was in May, I heard back from them and was lucky enough to hear that I'd gotten the job. So after finishing my degree in June, I made the move in July, and now here I am, still a year and a half later here.
Now, the thing is, I've been following. You have a great Instagram account where you share your sort of daily happenings, what's going on for you. And I could see, you're going to all these amazing places around the world, and then COVID hit. And tell me how that has impacted you as a flight attendant.
It was quite wild because, of course, we knew COVID was happening, say, from January is kind of when it started to make the headlines a bit more. And then it sort of was just below the surface for a while there. So it wasn't until basically mid-March and it just hit really, like, the travel industry really hard. So since then, we're always keeping a really positive and open mindset that travel will be back in a couple of weeks sort of thing. It's just very, very temporary. And to now be, I guess, in a very similar situation almost 8 or so months later, it's quite surreal because we're so used to this very fast-paced lifestyle and never being on the ground too often to then be in Dubai basically for the entire year has been crazy. But on the bright side of it, very grateful to have become so settled in Dubai this year and really be able to call it home. So if there's any positive to come out of it, it's that I've been able to see a bit more of Dubai and, of course, the Middle East a little bit more and understand the culture and explore the local offerings of amazing restaurants, cafes, and some beautiful landscaping as well.
Well, you've captured it really well in your Instagram account. I can definitely say, particularly the food. I look at that and think, oh, that looks delicious. And so tell me, I also saw a photo of you when you have flown though since COVID hit, and I just saw this photo of you in this biohazard suit, which was branded Emirates. And so is that the reality now when you actually fly?
Yeah, we're very lucky that we do have the opportunity to wear such extensive PPE on board. So it's inclusive of this gown, gloves, a mask, a visor. Some flights you have a hairnet, some flights even a face shield. And it's quite surreal because you do want to limit your interaction with customers, but that's the basis of your entire job is interacting with customers. So trying to find a happy medium where you're able to, I guess, provide them the service they require while, not interacting too much. And it's almost a little bit like disorientating having all of this on. And it is really like a physical barrier against the customers, which it's kind of a shame because the really positive part of your job is being able to interact with people from all over the world and your amazing customers that you do have to now have this sort of barrier between you, but very grateful that we have that nonetheless.
Yeah. And so because you've had a lot more time on your hands in Dubai, you have been doing some influencer work. And so, I mean, when you were studying at USC, we looked at influencers a little bit, but now you're actually on the other side of it. And so you were saying that you actually were part of an influencer marketing campaign recently. So tell me more about that.
So most recently, Dubai actually ran the Dubai Fitness Challenge, and I was lucky enough to be one of the ambassadors selected to take part in it. So it was a 30-day program that was set out for us, and it was really interesting for me because we'd done all that work throughout the degree. So I sort of I had this mindset that I knew what to expect, and to have it, put the plan out in front of me and having to follow it, and to have the marketing manager on the other side to ask for analytics and set guidelines on what to post and meet schedules and things like this. It was really interesting to see how someone else would do it, and sort of be able to think, oh, what would I do differently if it was my situation? But it's interesting to see they had such a variety of influencers with different followings. So I'm more on the micro influencer end, but they had people with even less followers. So 500, 1,000, 2,000. So it's very interesting to see that they do have trust in the belief that micro influencers of all sizes can really be what pushes people to motivate and get involved and follow a certain journey. So for them, it was about getting absolutely everyone involved in Dubai Fitness Challenge. And I think that's really where micro influencers were the key, because it was just everyday people sharing their involvement and trying to motivate the rest of the population to do so.
Yeah, and I mean the content was great that you produced and put on your Instagram profile as part of that campaign. So you were saying that you were looking, you sort of critiqued it and said, how would you run it? So on the flip side, how would you have run that sort of influencer marketing campaign?
Firstly, timing would be a big thing for me, I think. So I would probably provide the outline to the influencers far more in advance than it was given to us, because it was almost a very immediate start. And also probably provide a little bit more flexibility in the content rather than such strict guidelines. I would probably provide more inspiration to them and let the influencers sort of take their own path with it in a way. We were provided with set hashtags, and we could make our own captions. But I think on a positive note, the hashtags were what kept it very consistent and got noticed on social media. But rather, I would allow the influencers to have a little bit more control over what they could and couldn't post. I think because for some people, there were set video posts, which for others, it didn't really align with the content they're used to sharing, and that I think their followers would resonate with as much.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like every audience is different, and so an influencer really knows what's going to work well. So just having that autonomy to still promote the brand and whatever it is you're promoting for the campaign, but still creating stuff that your audience is going to love.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I also wanted to congratulate you because as part of your journalism degree, you actually won an award as well. So can you tell me more about that?
Yes. So for the media awards, I was actually lucky enough to be chosen as the Queensland Student Journalist of the Year. So the awards night, I believe, was in September last year. So I wasn't lucky enough to actually be there for it, but I'm really grateful to have been chosen. I felt like throughout my degree, I put a lot of effort into the pieces I was producing and the time I spent researching it. So it was really great to get that recognition.
Yeah, and I can say that the USC journalism lecturers were super proud of your achievement too. So I'm passing on their congratulations. If I'm sure they did too, but even at this later stage. Now, some of the questions I wanted to ask you as part of our session today are things like, so you managed to actually get this amazing job with Emirates. So tell me, what do you think it was that set you apart from other graduates or even other people going for that particular role?
Going for the particular role, I believe it's important, I think, in the interview stages to be like very interactive. I set myself up well with a lot of experience. So I'd already flown before, which was lucky. So I knew the sort of the scenarios I could be put in terms of the journalism award and what might have set me apart for getting that was I had a lot of passion that I put into each piece I was producing. So I really wanted to resonate with either in journalism, my interviewees, or in my social media course. I really wanted to understand my client really well and take the time to share their passion. So if it was their business, I wanted to understand what were their brand values and, understand their story. So being able to sit down with them for a period of time and hear their journey, how they got started, and to have that really great understanding of their brand was very important, and being able to produce content that was relevant for them and that I thought would do really well with their audience, because I think it's very difficult to create any content that resonates with their audience if you don't know them and you don't know what their story is as well. So I really wanted to make sure that I knew them very well.
Absolutely. Research is the key. It's the key to any sort of development of strategy and anything that you do. So no, completely agree. And tell me, what has been some of the best career advice you've ever been given?
I think I've definitely learnt this one throughout my studies as well. It might have been to pick up the phone, because I think in such we're so based on social media these days and online, and we rely on our devices and everything, that we sort of have this barrier between ourselves and other people, that we feel like, oh, we can just send an email or we can just send an Instagram message. But a lot of the times the brands you're trying to reach out to, the people you're trying to reach out to, they could be very high profile, or they just don't simply have the time to get back to your message, and it's lost between the other DMs and emails. So it takes no time out of your day to jump on Google, find their number, or jump on their website, find their number, and take the 2 minutes to call them, because the answer you're looking for, you'll get it straight away, or you'll be put onto their personal assistant or something, and you'll be able to just get through to them a lot quicker and get the answer you're looking for. So I think getting over the fear or the stigma that you can't call people, and just getting onto it straight away, because it's how to get direct answers.
Yeah, and I think too, when you do make that effort, then when you do email them later, they'll be more likely to actually take notice of your email, because you've already, made that connection with them over the phone. So
absolutely,
yes.
It looks so much more professional, and they can put not a face to the name in an email, but a voice. And I think a lot of the time, we even learnt this throughout the courses, is that you can definitely misread how you send a message. So being able to put like a really friendly tone to what you're trying to say, it'll help resonate with people a lot more.
Absolutely. And so tell me, apart from that, which is, a great thing to learn at university, tell me what is another thing that's really helped you in your career that you learned at university?
I believe it could be starting early, don't procrastinate. It doesn't get you anywhere. And I think in a time where in social media especially, you're very reliant on other people. You might be dealing with clients, you might be dealing with influencers. If you're the one who is procrastinating and not on top of things, you have to have really good time management as well. Because you are dealing with so many people, you have to expect the unforeseen. So being able to start really early. And I'd also say something I've even taken out of our studies was the power of using things like hashtags and different appeal in your photos. So I think we learned how to, alter the tones of a photo to really resonate with an audience. Say, if your feed is all black and white, you want to stick with black and white, keep it all very similar, make things very visually appealing. And of course, limiting things. I think that was the key of using 5 to 10 hashtags, if I remember correctly. And even in my own experience with posting, if I have kind of gone all out and put a ton of hashtags, we've noticed it hasn't worked as well as if I've kept it nice and minimal and to the point. So they're just a few things as well that I think I've picked up throughout the studies.
Excellent. And what's something that you wish you'd learned at university that you really needed now that you're out working full time?
In terms of social media, I didn't really learn too much to do with graphic design that I think can be very helpful in modern day social media, really. I think you're limiting yourself a little bit if you don't have that knowledge behind you. So if I was to suggest anything to students these days, it would be to take advantage of the time you're at university and maybe even just take one graphic design course, or if you have the free time, download the Adobe package and jump on YouTube and try and learn some of these skills yourself, because I think they can be very useful once you enter the marketing world.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a really good thing to understand design more. And there are so many tools and and online courses to help you to do that as well.
Yeah.
So another thing I wanted to ask, so what's something that you've learned that's social media related in the last 2 weeks? So it could be a new tool, a platform update, or even a hack that you could share with us, because social media changes all the time. So what's something new that you've just discovered?
I feel like I'm still kind of a novice to it all, because I feel like I'm a little bit old school. Even like for someone who's 22, I should be a bit more on top of it. But I quite like playing around with my Instagram stories. So that's where I like to be a bit more creative. If you follow me, you'd probably see that as well. So I learned recently the fact that you can take a photo from your camera roll, scroll down to the bottom, and there'll be a thing that says copy photo. And then if you swipe back to Instagram, it'll say add sticker, which you would think in like a normal sense, it's just going to come up as like a square sticker. But what I actually do is I like going on and downloading a background eraser app. So I'll take a photo, say a heart or something, or a cute quote, and I'll go into the background eraser and I'll take off the white background and then use that copy and paste feature to almost make like my own sticker, or not a GIF because it's not moving, but like a kind of cute decal that is relevant to what I'm saying. So I definitely use that a lot throughout the fitness challenge marketing plan, because I wanted to make my content on my stories a little bit more interactive and interesting and separate them from a little bit of my other content. Yeah. So that was something I really enjoyed doing. And I think that's kind of a fun tool to play around with as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great tip. So I'm sure like there's a lot of people who don't even know that you can do that. So that's great. And so what advice would you give to, say, emerging social media professionals or even current students about how they could succeed in their careers going forward?
Definitely while you're studying, and it's probably drilled into them 100 times already, but it is to go to the lectures and the tutorials. Even if now you have the opportunity to take all your classes online, I would say make your best effort to get into the classes. There's nothing as good as being present in the class, and you'll pick up extra tips and tricks and really have the content drilled into you. So that's probably my number one, is to actually go to the classes. I know it's tempting when you've got your busy schedule with all your other classes on there to think, oh, I can just do this one at home because it's online. But if you do really make the effort to go in, I think that's my first bit of advice. And my second would be to leverage off the fact that you are a student. So trying to get as much experience as you can while you're studying. So if you do have the opportunity to get clients while you're studying, definitely try and do that, because you have the chance to build your portfolio and to almost learn while you're on the job in a way, before you're actually in a job where it's expected that you have these skills already. So being able to do it in your own time and work with smaller clients, and you can kind of grow together as well. I think that's something that's really important, is to try and get as much experience and real life clients as you can while you're studying, because I believe that smaller clients would also be a lot more open to it as well. I was lucky enough to work with a client for, I think it was about 6 months before my schedule with work and studies was actually too full on, and that was really useful experience. So not only do you get to learn more skills than you would learn potentially while you're studying, because you have the opportunity to play around with it, but you also have the chance to learn what it's like to actually work with someone and how unpredictable it could be, and find some of the challenges that you might face when you actually get into the real life working world.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I try and encourage that as well. And I think the best thing about actually having clients when you're studying is that you can always ask us. We're here to help you and give you ideas and bounce ideas off as well. So you're sort of getting that practical experience, but in a really well supported environment. So it's a great place to actually earn money, get that practical experience, and still get the support before you actually launch out on your own.
Absolutely. Like, I remember a few times I had some things I was playing around with on Canva, which is a really great tool that we used a lot while we were studying, and I personally used and sometimes still use if I need it. So this was really useful for me, just if I had questions about how I could structure a caption or what would be appropriate to put into it. I was always lucky that I knew I was going to have a couple classes that week where I could come to you, or even one of my fellow students, and sort of pitch an idea there. And it also made assessment so much easier, because you felt like you almost had this step up on the assessment in a way, because you'd been doing it, you'd been practicing it. So it came to the task being put in front of you, and say, for example, having to produce 3 pieces of content, and you're like, okay, it can kind of be a breeze, because I've been doing 3 pieces a week for this client, so I can do 3 pieces for this entire assessment for this new client.
Yeah, it's excellent. And so we're at probably the most important question of the entire show. So who do you like, share, and follow, Drew?
Well, for me, Instagram, well, it's mostly what I use is Instagram. I'm still quite new to TikTok, and trust that I won't be making any TikToks. It's not for me. I do quite like scrolling through it a bit aimlessly and just using it in my free time. But for me, Instagram is sort of where I'm based. I like to follow anything food related. So if there's a kind of health and fitness influencer who posts what they're cooking and what they're eating a lot, that's really what I enjoy. So I love if someone is making a really nice hearty meal at home and they share that on their story, or they share the recipe on their feed. That's really what I enjoy seeing. I'm not into following people who share their latest clothing buys and all of this kind of stuff. I'm not interested in your, I guess, typical influencer as such. So for me, I'm really interested into if they're sharing their recipes. So a couple of them I've written down here is, I think it's clean _ and _ mean. She posts like beautiful recipes, like great ingredients and everything. Shred It with Beck is another one. She posts really amazing recipes as well. And some of my fun ones that I like to follow is Just Jared. So he posts celebrity news, and I kind of like to sing little skits of like a celebrity will be at the beach, or they'll be at the latest awards night or something. I like to see that. And some more funny ones is, even though I'm not living in Australia, I like to see the latest groceries.
Oh, yeah.
And and people trying them as well. So different products. So there's Aussie Grocery Finds, the Grocery Geek, and Food Finds Geelong, which is another one, and they all sort of do similar things. So trialing new things that might come into your local Woolies or Coles. And another one that just came to mind there, and I feel like I'm going to get the name wrong, but I think it's like Kmart Bargain Hunter or something. Even if you just put in Kmart to Instagram, it comes up, and it's always showing you the latest stuff in Kmart. And I like seeing all the homewares and things. So for me, that's really interesting as well.
Oh, that's great. And so do you have any final thoughts to share?
I'd say for me, I'm so grateful to be living in Dubai at the moment, where I guess we're not unaffected as such by COVID. That's not really the right way to put it. I'd say we do have, we're just more open to tourism and things like that. So it is a nice place to be living at the moment. And in addition, for social media, it's so refreshing to see how open they are to all types of influencer marketing, and they do really use it to their advantage, because there's forever a new restaurant, cafe, a mall popping up. So they need ways to really create hype on social media. So I think something they really do well is they work with that element of getting a crowd following. So if you have 100 influencers trying out the newest cafe or something, they're really good at making it look like it's the newest, hottest spot by really taking full force of all influencers of all followings and things like that. So it's been really refreshing being here and seeing how open and welcoming they are of it. I think compared to Australia, I think there honestly is so much opportunity for growth in influencer marketing, in social media marketing in Australia, that it's really exciting to see, I think, where it could reach to.
Oh, excellent. So thank you so much, Drew. And next week on the show, we have Savannah Fowler, and Savannah is the social media and content coordinator at Victor and Flow. So thank you again, Drew, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure catching up with you as well.
It's been great chatting to you. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.